Hi, and welcome everybody to the Winner's Circle Sports Betting Channel. It is Wednesday, November the 1st. And hope everybody survived Halloween okay. And November the 1st already. Wow. Anyway, like every Wednesday, I'm joined by Mr. Jesse Schule and Sean Higgs. I want to start the broadcast by saying I apologize to Jesse because I corrected him yesterday and said that the Arizona and Mississippi State game was at Arizona, and lo and behold, he was correct. That game was played at Mississippi State. So, Jesse, I apologize. I'm man enough to say I'm sorry when I'm wrong. I'm man enough to say when I lose, and that's why we're transparent on this channel. But in any event, buddy, how are you?
Well, Ross, a couple winning days in a row now, and
yeah,
Lord knows I needed it. So feeling a little bit better about myself moving forward. It's a new month, and starting to get excited about hockey and NBA and college basketball. But still, college football is the number one for me, and really focused on getting back onto the leaderboards with college football, and that starts this weekend.
Yeah, Jesse, a 3-0 day yesterday as he had the New York Knicks in the NBA. He had the Texas Rangers on the run line at +1.5. So there was no doubt there. And then the Vancouver Canucks, who easily disposed of the Nashville Predators 5-2. Sean Higgs, my man Sean, he's at the top of the leaderboards, number 2 the last 30 days, number 2 the last 60 days. Over at gamblersworld.net, where you'll find all 3 of us and 7 other great handicappers. Gamblers World, by the way, is our sponsor. But without further ado, Sean, how are you?
Pretty good. I'm listen, NBA winner for me yesterday. Clippers. Again, I talked about that on the show. I said, I put that one out before their big trade, but it managed to get there pretty easily, I guess. So I think 6-1 NBA start. I'm pumped. Usually NBA for me, it's usually a rocky road early because guys sitting out. But I like that you can kind of predict. Like, well, we used to do that anyway.
Who's playing?
Yeah, because they can only sit out at home. These star players now, which is those home fans are gonna be like, "What are you talking about? I'm going to the stadium and nobody's playing today." But hey, I don't know.
Well, our main beat last year, Sean, was not knowing who was going to be available up until the last minute, and resting players, or what's the term they use these days when they rest players?
Load management. Actually, it's actually around. I think it's called rest, but you have to rest your stars at home.
Okay, all right.
So in a back-to-back, there's going to be no. Like you knew.
Well, not only that, what? Come on, it's November the 1st. Why do we have any? We shouldn't have to be talking about load management this early in the year, anyway.
No, we do.
But your point is a stronger one, and it's well taken. So, all right, we're going to be talking college football today, and some pretty good matchups in the SEC. All 3 games. So, you SEC fans, they usually come out of the woodwork when we fade one of your teams. You're going to have a field day today. I'm going to be looking at LSU and Alabama. Jesse will be covering Texas A&M and Ole Miss. And Sean will be looking at Missouri and Georgia. So looking forward to that matchup, even though it's a double-digit spread, intriguing matchup there. But before we get to that, just a friendly reminder, folks, if you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel as of yet, I don't know what you're waiting for. It's absolutely free. There's no strings attached. There's no hidden agenda. You'll just be privy to the best sports betting podcast on the internet today. And I say that with confidence. And of course, I'm biased. But again, numbers don't lie and liars don't figure. So if you look at our subscribership over the last 3 months or so, it's grown exponentially. And we appreciate each and every one of you who have subscribed. But if you haven't, there's that WC logo right in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. If you're watching on your PC, click that. And if you're watching on your smart TV or your mobile device, that black subscribe button right underneath the video box, click that. That'll get you subscribed. And then I'm going to ask you to take another 20 seconds and go into your YouTube settings and click that alert notification bell for the Winner's Circle Sports Betting Podcast. And you'll be notified immediately upon us publishing any video on this channel. And also, if you are subscribed and you haven't taken care of that, I would highly recommend you do so, folks, instead of checking back and forth to make sure when we put up our podcast on this channel. So there you have it, folks. Can't make it any easier than that. All right, Sean, starting with you. I talked about the Missouri-Georgia matchup. I'm intrigued with, and I'm really curious to hear your take on this game. Right now, Georgia is a 15.5-point favorite. The total is 54.5. I don't know. Again, we're a 7-1 Missouri team, but how good is Missouri at this point? We saw them, their only loss came to LSU at home. Nothing to be ashamed of there, but are they up to the task of staying in this game with Georgia is the question to you.
Well, you first look at this number and you think, let's grab Missouri, right? You're off a bye week. Last year's game was 26-22, a big kind of dogfight. And the perception is Georgia's not really that good this year, right? It's like, oh, Georgia's down. They're not that good. And I've said it before, like, oh, is Georgia taking a step back? How about the way they've played lately? 43 at Florida, 37 at Vandy, 51 Kentucky, 27-20 against Auburn. I mean, UAB a 49 spot. I'm going to go over this total. And believe it or not, I would maybe lean a little Georgia. Like, as much as you want to take Mizzou, it looks good, right? They're scoring 34, 38, 39, 38, 34, 30. They scored 30 a game. More than 30 a game. But it's who they've been playing. I'm going to go with a Georgia team that I think people have written off, right? I mean, as much as they're, whatever, 2 in the rankings, whatever just came out, people kind of are still down on them, like, oh, we got to see a little more. The tight end's out. Oh, it's a new quarterback. Hello, I mean, we're not huge Florida lovers. We thought it was a kind of a building year. They got a Wisconsin QB, but you go on the road and drop 40-something down there. Tough place to play. I'm going over. This Georgia offense is for real. Missouri's going to score a little bit. 54 actually looks, I don't want to say it looks too easy, but it does. I mean, how isn't this game going to be probably in the mid-60s? I mean, Missouri could score a little bit. And Georgia has been, again, they run down at 43, 37, 51. That's all SEC teams, good, bad, and different. Again, we make fun of some of the lower level SECs like Vandy or, Auburn's had a rough little go in their season, but you're putting up 40s and 50s against these teams. Yeah, even at adjustment, you're still going to put up 30 plus against a better leveled up team here. But I'm going to go over to 54.5.
All right, so Sean likes the Georgia and Missouri game. That game will be played in Athens, Georgia, by the way. 3:30 p.m. Eastern time kickoff. Sean likes Georgia and Missouri to go over the total of 54.5. Jesse, he makes some good points with the points that Georgia's been putting up of late in recent games against some pretty good competition. I don't think it's much of a stretch. To say that Georgia is still a very good defensive team, there's no two ways about it. But they're not as dominant as they were a season ago. And look at the players that were drafted in the NFL on that Georgia defense, and I think 3 of them are starting on Sundays right now. What's your take on this game, Jesse?
Well, one thing we didn't mention, which we probably should have tackled, is the first edition of the college playoff rankings came out. And Georgia, I think, should probably still be on the top. Certainly not Ohio State. I thought that was a little bit questionable. I'm not happy with what I've seen from Ohio State. Of course, that was a big win over Penn State, but there's some other teams out there that I think have been more impressive, and Georgia, I think, is one of them that deserves to be ahead of Ohio State. I mean, last week I was tempted to take Florida plus the 14.5 rivalry game, world's biggest cocktail party. It started off well for Florida, but Georgia looked pretty dominant when they took over that game. No Brock Bowers, no problem. I just think that Missouri hasn't seen a team like this. I think they're more dominant than LSU. LSU, of course, great offensively, not so much defensively, and I expect Georgia to really have their way with Missouri here.
Hey, Jen, Hey, Russ, before you jump in there, I want to say, the OSU at top of the board, I'm like, how? I agree. Like, okay, I guess they go by beating Penn State and Notre Dame are the probably a team with 2 good wins as opposed to who? Michigan's beat nobody.
Well, how about? I mean,
LSU.
winning at Notre Dame is a quality win. I mean, if
The only other big win is Washington beating Oregon. Like, you want to say you can't put
yeah,
Texas in there because they have a loss against Oklahoma. You'd say, oh, they won at Alabama, but that's
yeah.
offset by an Oklahoma loss. Listen. You look at the eye test, you think, all right, Georgia's turned it on. I mean, Michigan defense looks phenomenal, but again, they give it more than 7 points once. But they're going to say, "Oh,
Yeah.
who'd you play?" I hope the old "who you play" comes into their NCAA basketball thinking when it's time to go here. The old "who you play" nonsense with the.
I'll tell you right now, I can think of 3 or 4 teams that I would bet on getting points versus any points, getting +1 against Ohio State on a neutral. I can think of 3 or 4 teams that I would take.
Yeah.
All right. Well, who are they, Jess? Who are they?
Oregon, Georgia, Alabama. That's 3.
Michigan.
Michigan, I'm on the fence about. We'll see about that, but maybe. Yeah. I mean, there'll be a 4th.
I don't believe that Georgia would be an underdog against Ohio State. I mean, again, if Georgia, I'm assuming that both teams run the table, right? If that occurs, I don't see how Ohio State is a favorite over Georgia. That's the one thing. But it's a small point. But your point's well taken. I mean, if you look at it in that respect, you're right. But I mean, you look at Ohio State's schedule. And look, I think that Notre Dame win is a heck of a lot better than the Penn State win, because the Penn State win came at home, and I don't think Penn State is as good as the record. They're a good team. They're not a great team. They've been a beneficiary of a soft schedule. Notre Dame's played everybody and anybody, and you go on the road and beat the Irish on their home field, and you win it on virtual last play of the game. So all points are well taken there. In terms of this matchup, again, I was just looking at Georgia. I mentioned to Jesse that I think that Georgia's defense is still very good, but they're not as dominant as they were a season ago. And again, if you look at Georgia's defensive numbers last year and the players like I just alluded to that got drafted in the NFL, it's not a stretch to say they're not as dominant. And as a matter of fact, they've allowed 20 points or more in 4 of their last 5 games. So that's news, because last year's team didn't even come close to any stretch like that. So to Sean's point on the over, Missouri could score, and I think they're going to score 20 or more in this game. I don't think they're going to rack up tremendous offensive numbers, but we're talking about going over a total of 54.5. And with Georgia's offense, I agree with Sean. I like this game to go over 54.5 as well. Jesse, A&M and Ole Miss game will be played at Ole Miss, and right now Ole Miss is a short 3-point favorite, total 54. Boy, oh boy, this line speaks volumes to me. You got a Texas A&M team that's lost 3 games this year, and they're only a 3-point dog at an Ole Miss team that's ranked number 11 in the country and only 1 loss. Tell me what you think, Jesse.
Well, I know what you're going to say, Ross, but I'm going to disagree with what I think you're going to say. And I'm just going to say, if you're going to give me Ole Miss -3, I mean, Texas A&M's played 2 road games so far. They looked pretty bad in both of those games. Max Johnson only played 1 of those games. That was at Tennessee. He threw for 223 yards, no touchdowns, got picked off twice, 16 of 34 passing. That's his only road game. We go back maybe a month ago on this show. We talked about the injury to Connor Weigman and the coaching staff at Texas A&M saying, we have the utmost confidence in Max Johnson. And myself on this show astutely pointing out, by the way, that what else are they supposed to say? That is like textbook coach speak. It's written down like rule number 9. When you got to turn to your backup quarterback, you say, we have the utmost confidence in him. I believe that their offense has taken a step back since Max Johnson came into as the starter to replace Connor Weigman. And what can you say about Ole Miss? They're humming along. They score a ton of points. There's some injury concerns for Texas A&M. Ole Miss is the healthier team at this point. Home field, 3 points. No way I could take the dog here, Russ. I know you can, though.
Sean, I'm going to defer to you. Jesse likes Ole Miss -3 against Texas A&M. What do you think, Sean?
Come on. The line was 5. It went to 3, and they're a top 10 team at a field goal, and the line's coming down with – yeah, of course you love A&M on the money line here. I mean, and I'm gonna, that stuff. When I see those, Ross, Jesse, I'm automatically taking the other side. I don't care if it's NBA or college hoops or college football. Those lines, I'm gonna grab them, and they happen enough over the course of the season where I'm gonna win more than I lose. So I got to keep going. What's made me money this college football season. This is gonna be another winner here. Sorry, Jesse.
Yeah. Jesse, you know what I'm going to say, and I'm going to say it. I think they're giving you the winner here. You're looking at a 7-1 Ole Miss team ranked number 11 in the country against an unranked Texas A&M team that's lost 3 games this year. They're 5-3, and they're just a 3-point dog on the road. And again, I think the biggest thing that concerns me from an Ole Miss standpoint is defensively. I think they're a little bit vulnerable defensively. They're not horrible by any stretch of the imagination. But defensively, Ole Miss is allowing a little over 21 points a game and 354 yards a contest. But it seems like when they step up in class, for example, where we are here, I know they played the one high-scoring game, and that was against LSU. They allowed 49 points and 637 yards and still managed to win that game. So again, I throw the statistics out the window. I'm going to think like a bookmaker here, and that I've always professed this, and I would be remiss to go against what I've been professing over the years in a matchup such as this one. Jesse, I hope for your sake you're right, but I disagree with you. I'm not going to use this game on my card, I don't think. So I'm going to say Texas A&M here is the play at +3. So let's see what happens, because if Ole Miss wins it and covers this game, Sean, we're going to hear it from Jesse next Tuesday. So that's okay.
One head's here.
Yeah.
I have.
Well, I just want to remind you guys that a couple guys liked Texas A&M last week, and I was on.
How is that? And, you keep talking about that defense, Ross, but I told you it's going to come down to Max Johnson play. 2 interceptions squashed you.
You know what? And he's got every right to do so.
Especially if Max Johnson throws like a pick 6 and we lose like 23-17 or some nonsense like that. Like,
Sean, that sounds very prophetic. I must say that sounds quite prophetic to me. Right? Sounds like you already know how this is going to happen.
Well, I like the under too. I mean, A&M's got a defense, so that's why number one. I like the defense. The lines come down. I'll go that route. And, top 10 team laying short numbers. I don't try to overthink it. I'm never smart enough to overthink anything. My brain isn't that big enough to overthink.
Yeah,
a lot of underthinking.
Again, the odds makers to me are very good at what they do, and again, if you think like an odds maker, more times than not, you're going to be correct. Not all the time. Okay. If it were that easy, then we'd be playing games like this all year long, and everybody would retire and be on an island with an entourage following us around, and people serving us drinks and fanning us on a lounge chair. But it's never that easy in sports betting. So we'll see. Maybe Jesse will be right. And if he is right, like me and Sean just touched upon, we will hear about it and hear about it in a big way next Tuesday. So we'll see what happens. LSU and Alabama is my game. Number 13 LSU and number 8 Alabama. And Alabama's -3 and the total 60.5. Jesse, Alabama's -3 at home against an LSU team that's lost twice and they've only lost once. I think you know what I'm going to go here. I mean, again,
deja vu all over again, Ross. And I'm going to come right back at you the same way.
It's fine. It's fine, sir. I bring it on because you are entitled to your opinion, and your records over the years speaks to the fact that I'm going to respect your opinion, and everybody else should as well. All right. So again, this line speaks volumes to me. Alabama just a 3-point home favorite here. LSU 6-2. Their only losses in their season opener to number 4 FSU, a game they led at halftime. And their only other loss was the game I just alluded to, which was at Ole Miss. They lost that game 55-49. Those two teams, highly ranked teams, combined 15-1. They also own a quality road win at number 14 Missouri. So LSU's got a nice resume. Their defense does concern me. There's no two ways about it. The enigma for this team is their defense, but offensively, this team could score on anybody, and that includes Alabama, who's won 6 games in a row since that 34-24 home loss to Texas. However, along the way, they've had some close calls. They win 26-20 at Texas A&M in a game that they very easily could have lost, a game against Arkansas at home. This is an Arkansas team, I believe, that's lost 5 in a row now. They barely squeaked by Arkansas at home 24-21. In their previous game, Tennessee, they were losing 20-7 at the half and rallied in the second half to win the game 34-20. This isn't the dominant Alabama teams that we've seen in years past. LSU 3-0 straight up in ATS in their last 3. They scored 49 or more in each game. That's not to suggest they're going to get into that type of scoring against Alabama. But I do think that they could score 30 or more in this game against this Alabama defense that's still pretty good, but like Georgia, not as dominant as we've seen in years past. And since losing that home opener against FSU, this is an LSU offense that scored 41 or more in 6 of their last 7 games. And the game they didn't, they scored 34. Also, since last year, under Brian Kelly, anytime LSU scores 42 points or more in their previous game, they've gone 7-0 straight up in ATS in the following game, winning by 24.3 points per game. I'm not suggesting they're going to win by 24 points against Alabama, but I am suggesting I do like them plus the 3. Would not be shocked whatsoever to see them win this game outright. And I better feel that way if I'm taking them at just plus 3. And I'm going to take the Tigers here, plus the 3 against Alabama on Saturday. Go ahead, Jesse. Give me all you got.
No, I've been hearing this all week. A lot of people like LSU here, but I feel as though Alabama is getting a little bit disrespected, a little bit of recency bias. I mean, you think back like 4 or 5 weeks ago, the talk was Brian Kelly should get fired. They were calling for his head. Everybody said he's the worst coach ever. And man, things change. 3-4 weeks, things can change fast. I will point out that win over Missouri looked a little bit better than it actually was. We all remember how that game ended. It was a game that was a lot closer than it looked on the final score. Alabama's coming off of a bye week, and the last few years they haven't been very good coming off of a bye. But I wouldn't want to go to the bank on Nick Saban, giving him an extra week to prep for a game like this, rest up his players. And then final point will be there was a rumor about 4 weeks ago that Jalen Milroe was dealing with a hamstring injury. I think I mentioned it on this show that interviewed on the Pat McAfee show. Saban was asked directly, does he have a hamstring injury? And Saban just flatly dodged the question, refused to answer. Looking back on it, he struggled for a while. He's been progressively getting better, coming off of a bye. I think Jalen Milroe has shown signs that he can be a far better quarterback than he's been so far. Alabama's defense, I think they're not as good as they have been in past seasons, but I think this defense is still pretty damn good at home against an LSU team that looks great, but maybe is a bit inflated in the value. So -3 for Alabama. There's no way I'm betting against them.
Sean, Jesse's coming off a 3-0 day, and as you could tell, he's got a hitch in his giddy up today.
He's feeling pretty good.
I'm telling you, man.
Pretty cocky here on a Wednesday.
Let's hope he doesn't win both of these games against us, because Tuesday is going to be a rough day for me and you if that occurs, because I think we'd be better off mentioning it before he does on Tuesday, because he's going to lambaste us. Anyway, Sean, what do you think? What do you think?
Maybe we just split. Maybe we split and we'll feel good about it. Like, we split. It's all right. We'll move on to our other games and we win on. Bama's off a bye, but so is LSU. So we got LSU off a bye. We have again, here's another line. 4.5 opener, down to 3. And let's be honest. I mean, talk about short lines. We were talking about when they were laying not double digits to Tennessee or whatever, Mississippi. A 3, we've got to go back like 20 years before we see this kind of number. But, Jaden Daniels, I like Milroe. I thought, he's gotten better, right? I mean, you throw a young kid back there, it takes time to grow in a program. This is a quarterback for LSU who has historically given these kind of quarterbacks a guy who wants to take off and run. We've seen Alabama struggle with them. Like going back when they first started, like we'll go back to like their Johnny Manziel days. Like guys who start taking off totally messed up good Alabama defenses. And this Alabama defense isn't a vintage unit. I would just look at any points in the game it could very well be a shootout. Like Alabama could score right there. We talk about them, the rumors of their demise, greatly exaggerated, as one writer said many hundreds of years ago when Ross was a child. Probably saw that written on papyrus back in the day. He had it written on papyrus paper. See how many people get the papyrus? Anybody? They probably don't teach that anymore, what papyrus is. Anyway, I'm smart. I got a giant head. There's actually some facts in there. I think this is a shootout. Last team with the ball wins. So I'll lean LSU in the over here, I guess. I think it's going to be a good one. I'd love to see like a crazy 55-49 like we got out of LSU and Mississippi or whatever. That'd be a good one. I think this thing plays into the 40s. I really do. I think it's going to be a really fun watch.
Yeah. Now, Milroe, to Jesse's point and to your point, has really come on of late. He's definitely improved. We've seen steady improvement. It's a gradual improvement. It's not a huge improvement. But I think I could go out on a limb and say this kid is not going to be an NFL quarterback. He's not in the class of Jalen. He's not in the class of Tua. He's not even in the class of Mac Jones, who are all playing at the NFL level and starting at the NFL level, former Alabama quarterbacks. So, again, he may prove me wrong, because quite frankly, I didn't see Jalen Hurts near the end of his tenure at Alabama before moving to Oklahoma as an NFL starter either. And he's one of the best right now. So we'll see. But in any event, our official picks, I'm going to take LSU plus the 3 against Alabama. Jesse likes Ole Miss minus the 3 against Texas A&M. And Sean likes the Missouri and Georgia game to go over 54.5. And Jesse is against both me and Sean when it comes to our picks on the LSU Alabama game and the A&M and Ole Miss game. And God help us both if Jesse is right on Tuesday. So in any event, folks, there is a like button right underneath. It's a small token. It's a way to, if you've ever gone to a bar and you like the bartender, you give them a tip. Okay. We're not even asking you for a monetary gain here. We're asking you for a simple thing to do with the like button, Jesse. And what is that?
Smash that like button.
Smash that like button, folks. Just a small token of your appreciation for the work, time, effort, and research we do on this channel to not only give you free pick winners, but enlighten you on sports betting strategies and some of our own sports betting experiences over the many years we've been involved in this industry on a full-time basis. And most of all, our goal is, and always has been and always will be, is to make you a smarter sports bettor today than you were yesterday. And we hope to achieve that. If you watch 365 days a year, that's our goal with you each day throughout that 365 days. Sean, tell the folks why they should be buying from you. And again, I just mentioned at gamblersworld.net, Sean is number 2 on the leaderboards over the last 30 days and the last 60 days. So I won't steal any more acclaim from you, buddy. You tell the folks why they should buy from you.
Yeah, I mean, listen, people like to see the leaderboard, so why wouldn't you grab someone who's doing pretty well in college and NFL and NBA? And college hoop starts next week, so I'll be firing there. If you like a lot of games, out of the three of us, I'm the guy you want to look at. I'll have a lot of games in all sports. Definitely a lot of bang for your buck, and it's not like I charge crazy amounts either. So if you like the action, you like to win a little bit, hit me up. You can find me there. I mean, it speaks for themselves, the leaderboard. And you come in, you see all of us talk, you know how we are, you know what you're going to get from each and every one of us.
Absolutely. And again, folks, if you want to invest in Sean on a longer term basis, you have a 30-day package for $3.99. You have a 7-day package for $199. You have a 3-day package for $99. All three of those packages, if Sean doesn't make you a profit, we will credit your account back the exact amount of the price you spent on those purchases. Jesse, coming up a 3-0 day, and also a winning day. The day before you went 4-2, so 7-2 over the last 2 days. I told everybody the other day, and I'll say it again. When Jesse goes in a little funk, watch out, because he'll come on like gangbusters in the following weeks, and you're off to that type of start right now.
Yeah, you and Sean better watch out going against me on those 2 games. Let me tell you.
There you go. Well, I think that we expressed our concern in that regard. So go ahead.
I'm just hoping for a split, honestly, to be honest with everybody. 1-1, I'll be happy with a split, and you should be.
Sean's that just shows you how nice the guy Sean is. He doesn't want to see you lose both games. But anyway,
I'll take it. It was a rough week last week, but starting to turn it around. This weekend is going to be the revenge tour. I'm still on the leaderboards. You just got to dig a little deeper to find me. You'll see me there on the NHL, MLB, and CFL leaderboards. We'll be back on that college football leaderboard soon. Mark my words, it's going to happen. And sign up now, and you'll be rewarded.
There you go, Jesse Schule over at gamblersworld.net. Not only those subscription plans are guaranteed, folks, but our single game and multi-game daily packages are also guaranteed that if you don't win, you don't make a profit. We will credit back your account the exact amount of that purchase price. All right. Why should you buy from me? And I mean no disrespect to anybody when I say this, but if I don't blow my own horn, nobody else is going to do it for me, especially competitors in this industry. So you'll be hard pressed to find anybody who's done as well as I have over the last 3 months, specifically speaking, since August the 4th. This is all documented right at gamblersworld.net as well. Since August the 4th of this year, I've gone 127-83 in all sports. That's good for 60%. More recently, since September 12th, 77-46, 63%. I've gone 3-0 the last 2 days. I've gone 31-19 in college football, 62% since September 15th. I've gone 23-13 in the NFL since week 2, which is good for 64%. All of my football picks, which is college football, NFL combined since September 14th, 53-32. That's 62%. And we still have the World Series going on right now, folks, which I won yesterday as well. The last 2 games of the World Series I've cashed in. And my Major League Baseball postseason picks, 10-3 with my last 13. And in Major League Baseball since August the 4th, 59-34, good for 63%. And I do not give out big money line favorites. So when you're hitting 63% with that many plays over that course of time in Major League Baseball with me, your rate or return on investment is going to be very, very good. And we still got at least 1 game left in the World Series. I'll have that up shortly for you. So you want to cash in there. Again, for Jesse Schule, Sean Higgs, and Ross Benjamin, all 3 of us will be back on Friday, our live show, 3 p.m. Eastern time. Chime in with all your questions and comments. We'll get to as many as we can, time permitting. And on most occasions, that's to all of them. So feel free to chime in there. Mark it on your calendar, 3 p.m. Eastern time every Friday. We go live. It's your opportunity to talk to us and get immediate answers. Until then, take care and God bless, folks.